Hello, Blake Winters, EOS implementer, and continuing on with reviewing Success.co software features, this platform that's used for organizations to manage the paperwork, manage the day-to-day of running an organization on EOS, which is absolutely critical for the success of any organization that's going to do that. I want to talk about the scorecard. So the third key component on the EOS model is the data component. And that's running your business on those facts, figures, and objective information. And the two tools and disciplines within that are scorecard and measurables, where the scorecard is the set of numbers that we need to keep on track every week. And a measurable is just a number that I, as an employee, as a person that's a part of the organization, a part of the team, need to keep on track every week. And our goal is that every person has a measurable, everyone has a number that they're accountable to keep on track every single week. And we review that obviously in our level 10 meetings every single week, and that flows through from here to those meeting agendas that I showed in the level 10 meeting video prior. So just like all the other pages within the software, we have the ability to toggle between our teams. We can see our leadership team scorecard. What are the 5 to 15 numbers that the leadership team is concerned with? If we also wanted to see sales, we could see sales and leadership team at the same time, or we can toggle off leadership team and see just sales. So we have the ability to see multiple team scorecards or individual team scorecards, depending on how we want to view things. And we also have the ability to see the data over the last 13 weeks, which is standard for an EOS scorecard. It's about a rolling quarter. We can see our prior quarter scorecard. We can see our current quarter scorecard, which obviously is not very full given that the quarter just started. So we have the ability to play with some different views on how we want to see these numbers. We can also quickly add a measurable. So if we hit add measurable, it'll come up and we can add in what the measurable is going to be called, whether it's a weekly number, a monthly number, quarterly, or annually, and we can set the type and the goal. Is it a number that we're tracking, a percentage, a currency, a yes or a no? Because sometimes yes or no measurables do end up on the scorecard. Yes, they do. And what is really cool about this platform specifically is the ability to have a formula as a measurable. So I want to show this again. So in this demo site, we have Angela and Chris sales targets, each with a goal of 10,000. What if we wanted to see the total sales target? What if there was 8 people and we wanted to see the total across 8 people? With just 2, yeah, it's pretty easy to see those, but let's pretend that there's a bit more going on here and we want to see that cleanly. So to do that, we'd add a measurable called total sales target, and we would make it a formula measurable. Since we're tracking sales targets, that's currency. We have a number of different currencies to choose from. We're going to go ahead and choose the US dollar today, and we want that to be greater than or equal to 20,000. We then have the ability to edit the formula, which will then pull up the other measurables that we can use to build that formula from. So for this one, we want sales target for Angela plus the sales target for Chris. And then once we have that, that becomes our formula. We can save our changes. We have the goal associated with it. And we add the measurable as soon as we add an owner, which we will make Angela. Then there we have that new measurable. You saw it took just about 1 second, and then boom, it did the math and it calculated that new measurable. So I think it's really cool that we're able to build formulas to measurables. There's also a lot of great documentation that Success.co provides. If you do have any issues while using the software, they've got everything that you could possibly ever ask here, and then they're very receptive to feedback, and you can answer more specific questions if you're not able to find the answer in this documentation. But my guess would be, if you got a question, they've already thought of it and it's documented there. Very, very thorough documentation by the team over at Success.co. So that's how you build a formula based measurable. Again, we can toggle between our teams. We may have some monthly measurables. This happens a lot with finance. They are measurables that are just hard to pull every week, so we pull those every month. We may have a monthly financial review meeting where we could build that financial scorecard, set a meeting within our meetings function here to review that. So we've got weekly scorecards. We have the ability to have monthly scorecards. Obviously, we track measurables as part of our quarterly predictions. We have those here, and we can see how we've done on those historically. And we also make predictions on yearly measurables, so we can track those here. And as we run on EOS for several years, we can see that there. One last thing I want to show, which for all of us that like to visualize data, I think you'll find this really cool, is if you click these 3 bars here, you're going to get a graphical version of your scorecard, which lets you quickly see how we're trending over time. And what this does is it'll automatically scale this and select a couple of measurables that are kind of in the same scale range. So right now we have an axis of 0 to 40, but if we look at our scorecard, billable hours is 200 plus. So what this software does is say, all right, well, we're not going to make the scale up to 300, but we can add billable hours and see that. The reason it doesn't do that out of the box is that if we showed that, then the rest of what's down here is really useless to us. So it tries to scale it appropriately to give us a sense of what we need. And then, of course, we can add in and deselect any additional measurables as we want. And just like we did with the scorecard, we can do this for the graph as well. We can see last quarter and see how we did on the graphical view. I think it's just a really neat way to visualize data, helps people at a quick glance understand how we're trending over time. So that's the scorecard function in Success.co's platform.